Yo, what up? It's your boy, Adam Bomb Phenomenon, and I'm coming at you with another video. It's been about 3 days in the making already, and I'm pretty excited about this one because I got a new GoPro action camera that I can strap to my body, and I can walk around the streets of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and show a little bit more in depth of what I see on a day-to-day basis, usually before or after I go dashing. At any rate, I wanted to make this video kind of a commentary slash how I feel about the homeless problem that is not only an issue in my area, but globally. And as some parts may see worse of the homeless problem than others, I like to highlight my area locally and also kind of give a few suggestions that I think may help, and also talk a little bit about myself and how I relate to the homeless problem here. So let's get started. As you can see here, I'm starting here on Central Street on San Mateo, right at the Walmart, and you're going to see the video progress where I'm walking starting about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I do about a 30-minute walk, and then I go back out around 7:15 p.m. that night and do another 30-minute walk. It does get a little dark toward the end in terms of the time of day, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a little uncomfortable and had to make a U-turn. So I hope to get a little bit more balls to walk at night, because as you'll notice, as it gets darker, the streets get a little bit more active. And it's very different being in the car driving through the streets than it is actually walking them, especially with an action camera strapped to my chest, which I think causes a lot of attention on me. At any rate, let me start off by saying I've been homeless before, and I was homeless for a good 27 to 18, 19. So I was homeless for maybe 3.5 years. The only difference with me, and I was very fortunate to have this, I guess, benefit to being homeless, is I had a car. And a lot of people you see here don't have cars. They use the public transportation. They also sleep in tents or these makeshift shanties, as I call them, on the side of the street. But for me, I had a car, which made my time being homeless a lot more tolerable and somewhat more safe than most people who live on the street on a day-to-day basis. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm not here to make fun of these people. I'm not here to exploit them by any means. I just really want to highlight the problem we see here just in my area, where we all know the homeless problem is probably far more significant in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. But at any rate, for me, I was homeless, and I relate a lot about being homeless because I was homeless on these streets right here. A little background about my homelessness and how it started. I was evicted from where I currently or used to live in 2017 in Colorado, and it was due to a drug addiction. I got hooked on methamphetamine, and I thought it was more important to buy drugs and hang out with drug users than to pay my rent. Because before then, I had a job that paid me $2,000 a month, sometimes more with bonuses, and I was making about $80,000 a year. I got hooked on methamphetamine, and within about 6 months, I lost my job, I lost the place I lived, and I lost pretty much all friends around me besides drug users. And when I did become homeless in 2017, or actually it was March of 2018, I believe, I didn't have a care in the world about it. I really thought, okay, that's fine. I'll just live in my car, I'll hang out with my drug friends, and it'll be fine. It didn't really hit me that I had got evicted, and it didn't really hit me that I would have no place to go night after night. And my drug addiction lasted for 5 years, and it carried on or it started in Colorado, and it carried on to when I moved to Dallas, and it carried on when I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, I'm not into the nitty-gritty details between those 5 years about my addiction and what things went on, but there was a constant battle with me of wanting to get clean and not wanting to get clean, where to start, how to do it, and how to do it the most fast and effective way without spending too much time, in rehabs or AA and A groups. And that was for me a really hard struggle, because for myself, I knew I was worth more than being a drug addict. And for myself, I knew I went to college for a reason, and it wasn't to become a drug addict. So a lot of these people you see on the streets here are dealing with the same issues that I was dealing with for 5 years: drug addiction, mental health issues. A lot of the times I see people driving down the street and they'll be getting high just off their foilies and with their meth pipes, and they'll be holding them like they're a pack of cigarettes. Like this lady that walked by right there, you'll see her in a scene or two next where she's getting high at the bus stop on a foilie, which is probably fentanyl, which is a very popular drug. So a lot of people here have this struggle of just not wanting to get clean, or if they are, they don't really know how to get clean or where to go. It took me 5 years to finally realize that I'm not going to be able to get clean by myself. I'm not going to be able to not be able to get my life back to where it was by myself. So at 33 years old, I had to move back in with my parents, and I am so grateful for them, because without them, I would not be able to get a leg up, because I tried rehab twice. I tried going to homeless shelters that would facilitate, therapy and whatnot. But a lot of those times I struggled because there was nobody there when I left those facilities or after I got out to say, hey, don't do this no more. So I was grateful to have my parents, and to this day, I've been 1 year and 6 months clean. To this day, I still have cravings. To this day, I still have dreams at night when I'm sleeping of me getting high on meth. And I'm also very grateful to have a partner, my girlfriend, that was addicted with me for 2-3 years at the time I was addicted, that we both have each other as a support system, and we both got clean together, and we both support each other together. And whenever one of us have a craving, we are able to talk to each other about it, and it really, really, really does help. But a lot of these people you see here on the streets that are users, have mental health issues, they don't really have that support system that I had, right? They don't have a mother or father who they can go back to and live with, who will give them that extra hand or that leg up that they need just to save a few bucks to get a new apartment for themselves, and also to help them stay clean. These people don't have that on the streets. In my opinion, I think a lot of people who are homeless really struggle with the fact of, first of all, their identity and who they are. They also struggle with, childhood abuse or childhood trauma. And they also struggle a lot with not really knowing how to function as an adult, because maybe as a child they were abused, and as they got into teenage years they dropped out of school and they're really getting education, and now they're here on the streets and they permanently live here. Now, I'm not saying none of them want to get clean, because I'm sure if they all had the choice, I think at least half of them would say, yes, I want to stop doing drugs, yes, I want to stop living this way, but they just don't have the means or the pathway to get there. The homeless problem in America is huge, and you hear about all these programs that are just trying to curb the homelessness or give them housing, that they think it's just going to go away. The homeless problem is never going to go away. There's always going to be the rich, there's always going to be the middle class, there's always going to be the poor, and then there's the homeless. I think the homeless are in a class of their own. Housing is key, right? It's so important to get housing for the homeless because it finally gives them a safe space to think about what they can do next to better their lives. Like I said, for me, I was so grateful to have my parents give me a house to live in rent-free so I could think about my next step. And those things were like getting a license, getting a debit card, getting a bank, and also getting a job. Because when I was trying to do that, being addicted and living in my car, I could never ever get past the drug test. I could never ever get past going to the DMV to even get a license because I had to think about where I was going to eat, where I was going to shower, where I was going to get my food from, and where I was going to do my laundry and stuff like that. It was just a struggle enough that thinking about everything else to better myself seemed impossible. So these people here you see are just living that life that I used to live, and they have nowhere to go besides the streets, and then they group up like this here, and it's kind of like, like-minded people like to hang out with like-minded people to not make themselves feel so bad. So the homeless problem is never going to go away, like I said, and I really honestly feel there's not really much of a solution with the homeless problem because a lot of it has to do with drug addiction and mental health issues. My opinion is I'm going to focus strictly on Albuquerque here because I live here. I've been living here since February of last year, and this is what I've kind of taken from everything that I've seen so far, and I look into the news and the politics a lot here. The people here would rather not get clean. Now there are some who would, and they do go into the right facilities and they do go to rehab and they take the right steps. The majority of these people would rather not get clean, or they would rather not live by the rules. Here in Albuquerque, the police have agreed to leave the homeless alone. You could see 20 tents in a field. The police are not allowed to bother them. They are not allowed to say they can't be there. They are not allowed to evict them per se or make them move their tents. Now, if you were to offer these people a safe space or public housing or something that will get a roof over their head besides a tent or an underpass, the majority of them will say, no, I do not want to have that, because living in those type of environments, you have to be drug-free, alcohol-free. If you're a sex offender, you'd have to register. And if you're a wanted criminal, you would have to face your charges before you're allowed in these type of environments, these safe spaces as they call them. And a lot of people would rather not do that. So therefore, the homeless problem here is not only grown, it's become increasingly more violent, especially with officer type of involvement, where you'll see officer involved shootings at least once or twice a week. And every day here you'll see a stabbing or shooting. And last year we had the record number of homicides, and this year we're on pace to break that number. Now I know we're nowhere near like Chicago, New Orleans homicide record levels, but for us here it's pretty staggering to hear it every day. There are type of programs that, want to help the homeless, and I think a lot of them are good programs, but at the end of the day, these people would rather not have their cart of stuff taken away from them and be told you can't do drugs, you can't smoke, or you can't drink alcohol. They'd rather just live on the streets and live their own life. Another side product of this homeless problem that we have here in Albuquerque, and I'm sure we have that in a lot of areas that have a homeless problem, is the crime. Now, one thing that's unique about Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico is that we don't have a bail system here. And what I mean by that is, if you were arrested in Texas, which I've been arrested there before, you go to jail, you get a bond, which is X amount of money, and you paid 10% of that, and you were released within that day or within 24 hours. Here in New Mexico, we don't have a bail system. So when you get arrested here, which I've been arrested in New Mexico, basically you get arrested, you go to jail, and you'll see a judge either the next day, or if you get arrested on the weekend, you'll see them on a Monday. What we have here is called a catch and release program, which is a very, very bad program, especially with people who are violent or repeat offenders. So for example, I get arrested, right? Let's say I get arrested for shoplifting. I'm gonna go to jail. I know how New Mexico's legal system works. I don't give a fuck if they arrest me, because I know that I'm gonna be released the next day, or if not within 3 days after I see a judge. They're gonna release me on recognizance, meaning they're gonna release me with a court date in the future that's telling me that I'm gonna return for that court date, and of course face my charges then, and learn about my sentencing then. A lot of these people who are repeat and violent offenders will abuse this kind of system, meaning that they will shoplift continually from Home Depots, Targets, Best Buys. They may get caught, but they know they'll get released. And when they get released, they'll get released either on a GPS monitoring system, which they will cut off, or they will get released on their own recognizance if it's their first few offenses, and they will not show up to their court date. And majority of these people who are doomed these crimes are homeless people who don't have an address per se. So they're very hard to find on these streets. And that in turn makes our crime here very rampant and very uncontrolled. And people who live in Albuquerque know this. And I'm sure people who live in bigger cities like Los Angeles or St. Louis or San Francisco know the homeless problem does bring a lot more unnecessary drama to the city that they live in for people who do live the 9 to 5 and who do the right thing every day. Now, when I got in trouble, I didn't want to get in trouble again. But me, in turn, I was charged with some serious charges, and they still released me on recognizance, which is pretty grateful, pretty awesome. But at the same time, for somebody who does want to do the right thing, it works for me. Now, if you were to be caught for attempted murder or a DWI with a hit and run manslaughter, they will still release you on recognizance, which is crazy here. So that in turn just fuels the homeless problem and fuels the crime here. Now, the solution to all this, like I said a little bit earlier, there is no solution. There will always be a homeless problem. And I really don't think safe spaces or public government housing that you can get into really works. And I believe rehab is only for people who really want to go to rehab. You can't force somebody into rehab who's not ready to get clean, right? Me trying rehab twice. The first time I wanted to do it myself. The second time I was forced to, and both times I failed. So the homeless problem here in Albuquerque, at least, is never going to go away. And in fact, it's getting much worse here because people are coming here from Utah, Arizona, Texas, because they know how lenient the crime system here, or the legal system is here, and the benefits that they give people who are low income, such as EBT, Medicare, Medicaid, is very easy to get. And quite frankly, it's a lot of money that they give you for EBT for just being a single person. I think it's like $259, and for two people it's $459. So that's a lot of money for somebody who, you know, has to get groceries for free and who gets Medicare for free. Now, safe spaces do work for people that want to get clean, that don't want to live that life, and also who may have children. But the majority of these people don't want to get clean. The majority of these people would rather not live by rules. And the majority of these people just would rather commit crime and do things like that than become a better person and live the day-to-day life as an adult who has responsibilities. Now, talking on that as well, being an adult, living a day-to-day life with a job, bills, responsibilities, that in itself is tough. It's hard. I mean, I look at my budget and what I have to do on a day-to-day basis. I have to work, right? I can't sell drugs no more. I have to make an income the right way. I can't go out and steal things and sell them on the black market on the streets. So that being said, you know, I understand a lot of these fears and these overwhelming feelings that people who are wanting to get clean see that they have to do in the future to even get there, to be living a normal life. Because even to this day, I still sometimes struggle. I've finally learned how to maintain a budget to where I'm not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. I finally have been able to manage my bills and know what I need versus what I want. And I've also limited me going out every weekend or every day, partying, clubbing, whatever it may be. So it took me a long time to figure that out, how to do that and how to, I guess, amass my own success as an adult with responsibilities. Because I've had those responsibilities prior, and then I became addicted and evicted and was homeless on the streets with, you know, an addiction and nobody there to really help me out. And all my money that I was using or getting or was somehow coming to me, I was using for drugs. So it took me a while after I got clean how to figure out how to do that again. And I had to live in my dad's house for at least 6 months so I could save 3 months of rent because I had the eviction on my record, so somebody would rent to me. So there's a lot of things that I had to go through to even get to where I am at today. And right now I'm sitting in an apartment with 2 cats. I have a balcony, a king-size bed, a bathroom with showers that I can use every day, and a laundry facility. And I'm sitting here with a laptop, a webcam, and all the things I need to make YouTube videos now, which I couldn't have a year or 2 years ago, right? So I understand the struggle that people have who are wanting to get clean, the overwhelming feeling they may have, because I had the same feelings. And it's tough. It's tough. And if you don't have a car, it's even tougher. If you have bad credit, it becomes even more tough, right? So a lot of the mistakes that people make when they're young, which, you know, I had my fair share of mistakes, they really do come and bite you in the ass when you be a little older, right? I mean, I'm not trying to like give too much about myself, but you know, being an addict was one thing, but I ruined my credit when I was 18 and I'm still trying to work on that. And I've had the same car since 2013 that I got when I graduated college that I've kept in really good condition because I haven't been able to buy a new car since then. So a lot of these things that people don't think about when they're young, especially when they're 18 to 21 and they want to start doing violent crime, they want to start experimenting with drugs, yada yada yada, it's going to leave a track record if you don't maintain and get straight real quick. So I hope that really gives a little insight of what you see here on the streets, a little insight about who I am even more, because I think all you really see about me is that I'm a gamer and I walk the streets of Albuquerque and I like to DoorDash, so that's really what I can do with the record that I have right now. So at any rate, enjoy the rest of this video. It gets a little darker as you see and things get a little bit more crazy and wild. Now as time goes on, I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable doing this. I'll probably take a can of pepper spray with me, although I really think that most people aren't going to bother me. And if they are, I think I have a way with words how to get out of things. But I do want to make more videos like this, and I do want to kind of express, you know, or talk about things that are happening in the world, locally in my area, and kind of how I feel about them. So here's my part where I do this begging part. If you could please, you know, like, subscribe, comment, all those good things. I've been pretty stagnant at my 327 subscribers, and I want people to really subscribe to my channel if they like my content, support me. I also really like to have people comment, let me know where they're watching from, and if you could also like the video, because I did try to put a little bit of effort, like I do in all my videos, into this by editing, commenting, and commentating over it. And if you guys like to see more stuff like this in the future, leave a comment or even a like of the video or let me know. So I think I have about 5 more minutes of this video. I'm gonna let it just run out at this point, and you guys can enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys sometime later.